Guys, this is S&P 500 weekly technical analysis for the week of September 3rd. In the previous week, for the entire week, S&P 500 was struggling to sustain and close above 5644. And as discussed in my previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, for the bullish movement, a closing above 5644 is a must. If the S&P 500 keeps on closing below 5644, then 5566 or 5550 will be there to support the fall. And this situation was there at least until 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, August 30th. And then in last 2 hours, S&P 500 surprisingly managed to move up and breached 5644, and the most important part that it managed to close above 5644 at 5648. Now this has put the S&P 500 into the bullish side where we are anticipating 5700. And the same can be verified or can be seen through the chart of the Dow Jones. And as per my previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, this was the condition 41175, then 41198, and then finally 41376, and then bullish, bullish and bullish. So now we can anticipate more bullish movement in the S&P 500, Dow Jones and in the entire US stock market, and we can anticipate that S&P 500 will be heading to 5700. However, there is only one last problem, or you can say one last hurdle. And what is that? If you notice, V-shape movement, V-shape recovery, or a butterfly pattern. So what is the importance of this V-shape or this the butterfly pattern? The importance is that whenever such kind of pattern is seen, then the market or that the particular index will be seen struggling, just like what we have seen here. And there are heavy chances or there are good chances that before it can actually move up, before it can actually go more and more bullish towards 5700, we can expect one more round of selling. But whether there will be an actual selling or not, it will now depend on the all-time high of the S&P 500, that was 5670. So guys, I am going to discuss everything in detail, that when this selling can be triggered or when this selling can be seen, or what will be the condition wherein the S&P 500 can simply breach and can move above the 5670 or without going for this the next round of selling, and what will be the next target level, what will be the support level. So I will discuss everything in detail in this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. So guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. Now guys, I am going to discuss the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, which is for the week of September 3rd, means from September 3rd, which is Tuesday, to September 6th, that will be Friday. First point of the agenda is the S&P 500 technical analysis on the weekly chart. Weekly chart means the big picture. And now there is a little relief on the weekly chart that the MACD is about to give a bullish crossover, right? However, if something happens and if there comes a heavy bearish candle, a weekly bearish candle next week, then the MACD will form a slip. And once the MACD forms a slip, then we can expect more and more fall, at least for next 1 or 2 weeks, right? So I will show you the weekly chart and I will show you the weekly candle, okay, and all of these are conditions. Now the second point of the agenda is the S&P 500 technical analysis on the daily chart. So weekly chart means the long-term picture for a few weeks, for a month, for 2 months. Daily chart means a short-term picture for a week, for 2 weeks or so. On the daily chart now you can clearly see that S&P 500 is struggling, but at the same time it is creating a confluence zone, and also it is at the junction from where either it can move up or it can come down. But the conditions in the bull side are stronger than the conditions in the bearish side, because the technicals are supporting the bullish movement. Okay, the only thing which is against the technicals and everything is the pattern itself. Okay, and if you have subscribed to my YouTube channel for last many months or years, then I've repeatedly mentioned that first comes the pattern. The third and the last point of the agenda is the probable movement of the SP500 from September 3rd, which is Monday, to September 6th, that will be Friday. So in this last point of the agenda, I will give you the probable movement. I will tell you what is going to happen, how that is going to happen, and why that will happen in the S&P 500 as well as in the Dow Jones and the market. But guys, let me remind you that all of these three sections are interrelated, are interconnected, because I discussed the candles deeply in the first and the second part, which I do not discuss in the last part. So I discussed the candles patterns in the first and the second point of the agenda, okay, in detail. And then in the last point of the agenda, I cover all of the numbers, okay, the upward movement, the downward movement, bearish side, bullish side, okay, support, confluence zone, okay, the conditions, etc. That is why it is strongly recommended that you should watch all of these, the three sections, in order to understand what is going to happen in the S&P 500 and in the entire US stock market in the next week. Now guys, I am going to discuss the first point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, and this is the weekly chart. Weekly chart means one candle represents 1 week, not 1 day or 1 hour. Okay, so now first comes the candle. But before that guys, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now let's discuss the candle. Okay, this is the weekly chart, weekly candle. So I will not say that it's a perfect hammer. I will simply say that it's a hammer, and it's a bullish hammer. And because there was a sharp reversal in last 2 hours and especially in last 30 minutes, okay, a very heavy movement, and because of that heavy movement, S&P 500 manages to breach and close above 5644 at 5648. So because of this, we can anticipate an initial bullish movement on Tuesday. Now why I am not saying a gap up open? See, because there was a sharp reversal in just like 30 minutes. Okay, that is why it cannot be confirmed that whether it will give a proper, means whether it will give a gap up open or not. However, we can say an initial bullish movement. Okay, and there are also good chances that on Tuesday S&P 500 might not come into open equal to low condition. Now comes the Dow Jones. This is the weekly candle of the Dow Jones. And guys, once again let me repeat that the purpose of using the chart of Dow Jones is to get an accurate reading in the S&P 500. So Dow Jones is just a reference chart. Okay. Now this is the weekly candle of the Dow Jones, and it's a good bullish candle. Now this candle does indicates that on Tuesday we can see either a gap up open, or irrespective of any open, an initial bullish movement. Okay, because the movement in the Dow Jones was more bullish as compared to the S&P 500. So through the candles S&P 500 and the Dow Jones, it is clear that on Tuesday we can anticipate an initial bullish movement. There may or may not come a gap up open, but an initial bullish movement is expected. Okay, now let's talk about the technicals. Now in terms of the technicals, moving average is clear fan out. Okay, S&P 500 is bullish through the moving averages. Bollinger Bands, SP 500 is bullish through the Bollinger Bands. Ichimoku cloud, SP 500 is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud. And MACD, okay, this is almost the same. Okay, so there is still no bullish crossover in the MACD. Okay, and last week I have discussed in detail, okay, this particular, okay, the movement in the MACD, this is the rough movement in the MACD. Okay, now if in the next week if there comes one good bullish candle means wherein the closing of the candle is above 5670, okay, the previous all-time high. So in that condition we can anticipate a bullish crossover in the MACD. However, if something happens and if there comes and this bullish crossover doesn't happen, rather MACD forms a slip, okay, in that case in the next week what we can anticipate is that there will be a fall, a good fall, and then in the next week we will anticipate more fall or the heavy fall. Okay, so as long as MACD is trading bearish, there will always be a possibility, there will be chances of seeing sudden and surprise bearish side movement, sudden and surprise fall. But once it gives a bullish crossover, then stochastic RSI and MACD both will be aligned bullish. In that case it will be safe, and in that case it will be moving up. And even if there will be any fall, then that fall most likely will not be a surprise. Secondly, even if there will be any fall, then also S&P 500 will be able to recover easily. Okay, so as of now MACD is bearish, okay, stochastic RSI is bullish, okay, and also on the weekly chart S&P 500 is about to hit or is actually hitting the absolute saturation and the overbought conditions. So now remember this thing, absolute saturation and the overbought conditions. So the S&P 500, it closed at 5648, okay, it is spent almost entire 1 week to close above 5644, okay, and now that it has gone bullish, it is hitting the saturation and the overbought condition. Okay, this means that any further bullish movement in the S&P 500 will feel pressure from the overbought, saturation and the bearish MACD itself. But there will always be a fear, always be a probability of sharp and sudden fall. So I will discuss more of this in detail in the last point of the agenda. So as of now what we can see here is that the S&P 500 is 80% bullish on the weekly chart, okay, as well as it is almost overbought and almost saturated, right? And now here in this case of the Dow Jones, okay, if you notice the same conditions, moving averages are bullish for the Dow Jones, Bollinger Bands bullish, Ichimoku cloud bullish, everything looks good, and the MACD of the Dow Jones is also bullish. Okay, recently we have seen a rough movement, okay, and this is what I mentioned, that someone is swinging the market, okay, for their own reasons, for their own benefits. Stochastic RSI is bullish, heavily bullish, okay. Dow Jones is also about to hit the saturation and the overbought condition. This means that any more bullish movement, any more green movement in the entire US stock market, okay, whether it is S&P 500 or the Dow Jones or the Nasdaq, any more green movement, bullish movement will put the entire US stock market into overbought and saturation on the weekly chart, right? And because the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, okay, the MACD is still bearish in both of these the cases, or there will be a heavy probability of a sharp and sudden fall. Recovery may or may not happen, or recovery will depend on the other technicals and the other factors. However, in case of the Dow Jones is 100% absolute bullish on the weekly chart, whereas S&P 500 is 80% on the bullish, 80% bullish on the weekly chart. So overall the entire US stock market is bullish, okay, or is good bullish. I will not say heavily bullish or absolute bullish, it is good bullish, okay, and it has the potential, it has the momentum, okay, it has everything which is needed, okay, to move up. So I will discuss this the upward movement, this the upward limits, okay, or this the downward limits, okay, in the last point of the agenda. But for now, I have this information to share with you. This is my stock market knowledge transfer program, or the S&P 500 knowledge transfer program. Through this program, I teach the movement, strategies, trend, analysis, technicals, predictions. Predictions means predicting the movement even before it happens. Okay. And support and resistance levels and much more. And the motto of the program is to help you become self-reliant. And this program is delivered one-on-one basis only. And also whatever you are going to learn through this program will be applicable to any stock, any index, any currency, any commodity, any crypto, or anything that is traded in the stock market. This is my email address, and this is the Google spreadsheet. More details are there in this the Google spreadsheet. So if you notice that there are these three levels or three tiers, level 1, level 2 and level 3. And I have mentioned everything in detail what I'm going to discuss from basics to advanced. I will share my modified technical indicators. So whatever technical indicators I'm using are all modified. Okay, that is why if you use the same technical indicator, then it might give you a different value, okay, than what I'm seeing in my charts. Then these are trading strategies, okay, and a collection of information, okay, analysis of the information and everything. The options trading strategies, options premium calculator, and I will show you through the live calculation that how we can calculate the options premium price, okay, of any strike, okay, considering these spots, okay, and the other factors within 30 seconds, okay. And other than that, the support and resistance levels, and how to know the limit of the movement, trend, okay, everything, how to pre-calculate the price and the levels. Means, for example, S&P 500 is moving up, but to what level it will move up and then it will struggle and it will come down. Okay, so those kind of predictions, okay, to understand the levels with high accuracy, and how to reduce the trend and everything. And other than that, guys, these are some important terms and conditions, and these are the snapshots of the recent meetings. So guys, whenever you want to participate in this program, or if you have any questions, then this is my email address. So you can simply send me an email, okay, with your query, and I've given the link to this program and also my email address in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, I am going to discuss the second point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And this is the daily chart. Daily chart means one candle represents one day, okay, not 1 week or 1 hour. So first comes the candle. If you look into the candle, it's a good bullish candle. It's not a hammer, okay, or anything like that. And also the closing of the candle is just around the high of the candle. But because this high was achieved or this high was gained in just 30 minutes, that is why again this candle doesn't confirm any gap up open. Now, however, this candle does confirms an initial bullish movement on Tuesday irrespective of any open. And this is the chart of Dow Jones. So in the Dow Jones, this is the last candle, and again last candle it managed to close above the all-time high of, means the previous all-time high of the Dow Jones, okay, indicating more bullish sentiments, okay. But because Dow Jones was sustaining strongly as compared to the S&P 500, that is why it indicates either a gap up open or irrespective of any open and initial bullish movement, right? So considering both of these the cases, again an initial bullish movement, there may or may not come a gap up open, but an initial bullish movement is expected on Tuesday. Now let's discuss the technicals. But guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, to know what will happen to the S&P 500, Dow Jones and the stock market intraday. So whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now let's discuss the technicals. Technicals, the moving averages. So moving average is clear fan out. This means S&P 500 is clearly bullish to the moving averages. Then comes the Chimoku cloud. S&P 500 is clearly bullish to the Chimoku cloud on the daily chart. Bollinger Bands, again S&P 500 is clearly bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. Now some other technical indicators. MACD is bullish, perfect. Stochastic RSI is about to go bullish. Okay, it changed to bearish because of this fall, okay, on Wednesday. Other than that, on the daily chart, S&P 500 is neither overbought nor saturated. Okay, so these conditions are there, and this makes S&P 500 90% bullish on the daily chart, right? Now comes the Dow Jones. Now in case of the Dow Jones, if you notice, moving averages again clear fan out. So Dow Jones is bullish through the moving averages on the daily chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the Bollinger Bands on the daily chart. Dow Jones is bullish through the Ichimoku cloud on the daily chart. And Dow Jones is and the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence, the MACD of the Dow Jones is bullish on the daily chart. And the stochastic RSI of the Dow Jones is almost or is also bullish on the daily chart. So this makes Dow Jones 100% absolute bullish on the daily chart. Now what we have seen earlier, that Dow Jones was absolute bullish on the weekly chart too. This means that Dow Jones is strongly bullish, absolute bullish, and also the closing of the Dow Jones is above its previous all-time high. So this means that Dow Jones is in much better condition or is in much better shape, okay, as compared to the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq. And there is one more thing. If you notice then that on Wednesday, okay, Dow Jones has given an intraday bearish candle after giving, okay, a good flat open or a gap up open. It moved up, and then an intraday bearish candle. This intraday bearish candle in the Dow Jones forced the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq to give up heavily. And if you notice, this was Wednesday and S&P 500 hit 5,560. So the question is that why did it happen? It happened because on August 28th, the Dow Jones hit the absolute saturation. So in my pre-market analysis on August 28th, I have mentioned this to my Patreon community members that if the Dow Jones trades bullish, in that case, from that day onwards, any day, anytime, any movement, Dow Jones will be under technical compulsion to give at least one bearish candle on the daily basis. And you can see that on Wednesday it gave a bearish candle and then green and green. So it has fulfilled its technical compulsion on Wednesday itself. And now we know that the Dow Jones is 100% absolute bullish, S&P 500 is 90% bullish. It was 80% bullish on the weekly chart. Okay, so this means that overall the entire US stock market is bullish. Okay, there is no doubt about that. Through the technicals it is bullish, or it is heavily bullish, it is good bullish. Okay, and this bullishness or the bullish momentum, it can help the S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, these are indices to move up further in the next week. But whatever is going to happen, I will keep you posted through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, which I give to my Patreon community members every day from Monday through Friday. And I tell them that what we are expecting intraday to happen in the S&P 500 and in the stock market, and why that will happen and how that is going to happen, what will be the support and resistance levels, what will be the tiebreaker, etc., etc. And guys, it's not just about these daily precise updates, but I also give the stock market opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market, minimum 5 to 10 every week. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And when you follow that link, then you will see that this is my Patreon page and this is my Patreon profile. And here on my Patreon page, you will see that there are these two tiers. This is daily S&P 500 updates for non-US and Canada residents. This is daily S&P 500 updates for US and Canada residents only. So whenever you subscribe to any of these, then you will be getting daily S&P 500 analysis, updates, probable movement, and the opportunities. And guys, if you notice, many people have joined my Patreon community for last many days, weeks, months or years, and they are getting these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, and they know that what is going to happen in the S&P 500 and the stock market, and why that will happen and how that is going to happen, what will be the support and resistance levels, the tiebreaker and everything. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. You can follow that link and you can join my Patreon community, and you are welcome. Now guys, I am going to discuss the third and the last point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And here I will give you the probable movement of the S&P 500 for the next week, which is from September 3rd, means Tuesday, to September 6th, Friday. Now, in the next week, only a few important things will be there, but the most important thing is that on Friday, on September 6th, non-farm payroll data will be published. Okay, and recently there was the PCE and the core PCE data, okay, on Friday, and we have seen that there was no change, absolutely no change in the PCE and the core PCE data. So for last few months we knew that every month it was just coming down, okay, and it was losing some value, and that was good. But this was the first time when it went flat, okay, rather than giving any downward movement or there's a bullish movement, okay, it went flat, okay, and that was another reason why we have seen almost for 4 or 5 hours there's the bearish movement, okay, because this was the neutral news. It was not positive, it was only neutral, okay, not positive, not negative, neutral, okay. Other than that, there was also the technical compulsion, so that was keeping pressure on the entire US stock market, and for 4-5 hours it was trading bearish as it was supposed to. There was no surprise, but only in last 1 hour or last 1.5 hours there came this surprise bullish movement, okay. So now Friday, so Friday the non-farm payroll data will be published, and we can anticipate, okay, some high volatility, heavy volatility around Friday. Around Friday means Thursday and Friday, okay, so that will be there. Now in terms of the numbers and support and resistance levels, but guys, before that, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now, as we know that the Dow Jones has already given a closing above its all-time high. This means that Dow Jones is free to move up, okay, without any problem, without any issues. And also it is not a V-shaped recovery or a butterfly pattern, okay. So but here in case of the S&P 500, okay, it is there. This means that the Dow Jones is free to move up, it can move up, but at the same time the S&P 500 is expected to struggle. Now struggle in what manner? Because 5644, it has already cleared the 5644, means it has already given a closing above 5644, okay. Remember that it has breached the 5644 on Thursday and also on Monday, okay, but the closing was not there. And if you have subscribed to my YouTube channel for last many months or years, then every time I emphasize on the closing, not the breach. Breach can happen, breach is not a big deal. Closing, only closing, because if there would have come a closing above 5644 on Monday, then this kind of struggle was not supposed to be there, rather continuation of the bullish movement, okay. But because it has breached but failed to close above, and then again it breached, that is why we have seen this the struggle. So now we can see that 5644 is out, okay, it has closed above. Now comes 5, 6, 5652. Okay, 5652 was the high of this candle that was seen on Monday. Okay, and 5670 is the ATH level. ATH means the all-time high level. So we need one closing above 5652. Once that closing is seen above 5652, then it will help the S&P 500 to move towards and to breach the all-time high level. However, breaching the all-time high level, okay, itself is not sufficient. Okay, so that is why we need one closing above the all-time high level. For example, so if you notice, on Monday, the Dow Jones breached its all-time high level. But the question is the closing. So the Dow Jones closed below the all-time high level, and then again struggle. Then again on Thursday, it breached the all-time high level, but a closing below the all-time high level. And then finally on Friday, it managed to close above the all-time high level. Okay, that is why closing is important. Closing is very, very important. Intraday, what happens? Okay, breach or so. Okay, so that is not. But closing is important. A breach can tell us that, okay, in the near future, this is going to happen. Okay, but how soon that is going to happen, or will it certainly happen? Okay, so that is confirmed by the closing itself. So now that I have shown you here, the Dow Jones was also in the same condition. It breached the all-time high level on Monday, but then for next 2 days it was struggling. Then again it breached, then it was struggling. This means that S&P 500, if we think, okay, that now it has cleared 5644 and closing is over 5644, and most likely, yes, most likely it will be able to clear and close over 5652, and then it will breach 5670, and then everything is good. It will move towards 5700. Okay, then we need to understand that Dow Jones, okay, it took Dow Jones almost 1 week after breaching the all-time high level to clear and to close above the all-time high level. 5 days after breaching on Monday, right? So this means that 5670, a closing above 5670 may still take some time. Okay, so see, these are just the technical factors. Okay, but we should also consider the pattern, the butterfly pattern that is there, or this the V-shaped pattern that is there. Okay, and because of that pattern, we have seen that there is a the consolidation is there in the S&P 500. Okay, now this consolidation may help the S&P 500 to move into this side, or can force the S&P 500 to come down. So now everything is pointing towards a bullish movement. The pattern itself, the pattern and the consolidation zone, okay, they are pointing downwards. They are putting pressure on the S&P 500, and because first comes the pattern, then comes the candle, then comes the technical indicators. Okay, and this is the sequence that is followed. Okay, so now the pattern itself is there. Okay, and then so this is the butterfly pattern, okay, or this is the V shape, okay, we can say a movement, and then the consolidation. So these the two things are there at the same time. So that is why we must be very, very careful, okay, at least until there comes one closing above 5670. Once there comes a closing above 5670, then everything will be out. Okay, and then it will align itself to the bullish side, bullish movement, and the next target will be 5700. In that case, next target will not actually be 5700, it will be somewhere around 5750. Okay, so this is the bullish condition. So at first there must come a closing above 5652. When that happens, then it will tell us, okay, that now there are good chances, or there is heavy probability that the S&P 500 will be able to breach and might be able to close above 5670. Okay, once it closes above 5670, then it will be out of this the compulsion and all of this thing. So once again, guys, do not assume that the last closing was 5648, 5670 is very, very near, and S&P 500 will be able to move up and will be able to do, okay, all of these are things. You should consider all of these factors. There is one more thing, okay, and what is that? S&P 500 and Dow Jones on the weekly charts have almost hit the saturation and the overbought conditions. And also the MACD of the S&P 500 is still trading bearish. So pressure is this, the butterfly pattern, consolidation, MACD, okay, and the overbought and the saturation, right? So technically also there is the pressure. Non-technically we know that pattern, these the patterns are there, but now technically also there is a pressure, okay, then that is coming through the weekly chart, not through the daily chart. Okay, so that is why if you have skipped the weekly chart section and the daily chart section, then it is recommended that you should watch those two sections to understand, okay, this is the pressure, right? So bullish part is simple, clear. Now bearish side, see, bearish side will come into the picture, or there will be a very heavy selling, if the S&P 500 loses and closes below 550. I know that you might be thinking that it is at 5650 approx, and I am talking about 550. Okay, see, this 550 is the mark from where once the S&P 500 loses 550, then there will be no more recovery, then there will be a continuous bearish side movement. Okay, fall, more and more fall. Okay, but up to 550 there will be chances, there will be point, there will be good probability that the S&P 500 can recover. Okay, so what can trigger this or what can bring the 550 in the picture? Okay, so you can simply understand 5,600. Okay, although there are these are two very heavy levels just above 5,600, okay, which has actually played a very important role in the previous week, and every day I've mentioned, okay, to my Patreon community members, okay, when these are going to act as tiebreaker, and once the S&P 500 loses this tiebreaker, then there will be an intraday fall, okay, or a heavy fall, and exactly the same we have seen, okay, here on Monday, okay, and then Wednesday, then on Thursday, that was the same. Okay, anyways, so you can simply consider 5,600. Okay, as long as it is sustaining above 5,600, fine, not a problem. If it loses, then 550. Okay, intermediate, there are some other support levels. Once the 550 is gone and once there comes a closing below 550, then no more recovery and the continuation, not the continuation but the bearish side movement, which can eventually force the indices to change the trend. The current trend is the bullish trend. Okay, whatever fall was there, this fall was just normal, but this had not changed the trend. Okay, and I've again and again every day mentioned this thing, that this fall is not going to change the trend. This had not changed the trend. The trend is still bullish. Okay, so once 550 is gone, comes a closing below 550, okay, then there will be more fall, and then we will discuss the bearish side movement. Okay, now when there will be the bearish side movement, in that case the Ichimoku cloud, the boundaries of the Ichimoku cloud will come into the picture, and then 5,400 will be there. Okay, however, in the next week there are not good chances, or there are not much chances that S&P 500 will give this kind of movement, heavy fall or this also, because on September 18th the FOMC is scheduled. Anyways guys, whatever is going to happen or whatever will happen, I will keep you posted through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500, which I give to my Patreon community members every day from Monday through Friday. And guys, if you have not yet joined my Patreon community, then I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. You can follow that link and you can join my Patreon community. So guys, hit like if you have liked this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not yet subscribed. And guys, if you have any questions that you want to ask, then please feel free to ask your question through the comment section. So guys, this was my S&P 500 weekly technical analysis for the week of September 3rd. Means from September 3rd, which is Tuesday, to September 6th, that will be Friday.